mate tugging a caravan, and I was like, no! So I looked, and it's Stevie Wonder. The crowd started singing Pipenia.
Like, Matthew Pipinio. Hello, and welcome back to Leicester's The Place with me, Gerry Taggart. And of course, my life on this podcast just wouldn't be the same without my co-host, Big Matthew Elliott. Now, today we have a very special guest, a player whose glittering career was cut short due to injury, but whose name will be cemented in Leicester City folklore by scoring their last ever goal at Filbert Street. It is, of course, Matt Piper. Welcome, Matt. Great to see you on Leicester's
Good to
The
see you,
Place.
Tags. Thanks for having me, Big Matty.
Good to see you, son.
Thanks for having me, boys.
That's all right. Pleasure to have you on board, mate.
I'm never normally nervous in your company. We're normally at the pub or somewhere like that.
Are we?
Nice and chilled.
No,
Nice
I'm
and
not really.
chilled, mate.
I'm
Nice
all right.
and chilled.
I'm ready for it, mate.
We're looking forward to this. Have a chat, and we can go in different directions, can't we? And you've had an interesting life as well as an interesting career. So we'll get stuck into it bit by bit. But Leicester lad, first and foremost, born in Leicester.
Yeah.
Whereabouts? What area?
Born in, so it's a bit of a weird one. I don't know why my mum and dad did this. So
What,
started life
conceived
out, yeah. Started life out in Birstall.
Right.
Born at the Royal, but started living in Birstall. 3 years, I think I got to 2 or 3, and then my younger brother came, and then we moved to Beaumont Leys, just down the bottom of Beaumont Leys Lane. Inner city boy, inner city lad, loved it really. Playing football on the streets. My street was, it was such a mix of different cultures, religions. It was a wicked place to grow up. So you had West Indian families, you had Indian families, you had families from Poland. So, and we were all the kids on the street, friends.
Yeah.
So it was literally like a World Cup, playing cuppies on the street with all the.
Out of interest, then, so did the parents integrate as well? Did they all mix together? No, not so much. The kids.
Yeah.
It shows you kids don't give a monkeys about things, really, do you? Just crack on with what's there, don't you?
But yeah, my dad was quite notorious on that street because anytime.
Still is.
Yeah.
Well, he is. He still works at Leicester now.
I know, yeah.
But he got us into. I put some of it in my book. He got us into trouble a lot on the street because you said, did the parents integrate? The kids did, but anytime I got fouled, tackled, bullied, or anything like that, my old man would just go and see the dad of the kid that was doing it.
He probably got the wrong decision, though, didn't he? Because your dad is a well-known, or was a well-known referee, wasn't he?
Yeah, massive.
Across the whole county.
Obviously, growing up, from when I was 4 or 5, he was by that time he was reffing.
Yeah.
So he was taking me and my little brother all over the city, different places, St Andrews, Elston Park, some tough games as well because that time, growing up in the 80s, Senior League was really good, really competitive, loads of good players. And I used to be there at the side of the pitch, and he used to ref the game. And if anyone used to kick off, he used to call them over, and he used to say to me afterwards, because I was really intrigued, "What did you say to him? How did you calm him down?" He said, "I put him in the fucking boot."
You know what? I wasn't expecting that.
No,
I thought it was going to be a bit of humour or something. He just
no,
lay it down.
that's the stuff he used to
out.
do. He would. He was crazy. He was crazy growing up.
Who was your first team then? Like your boys' club, who you started playing for?
So the first team I played for was a team called Blackbird. You know the Blackbird pub?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Blackbird pub at the bottom of there of Beaumont Leys. That was the first team I played for, but they were like Division 3, Division 4. I'm only 7, 8. And in the first season, I missed the first sort of 5, 6 games. And then I played the first season and I scored something like 68 goals. I played up front.
in 2 games.
Yeah. I used to take corners, goal kicks, throw-ins. I used to do it all. So then, after that first season, Beaumont Town said, listen, they were in the top division. You got to come to us. So then when I was sort of 7.5, 8, I moved to Beaumont Town. played for them for a
big
season.
fee, a big fee, that, you know.
Yeah.
No, but I remember the manager actually coming round my house saying that he wanted to sign me.
Mate, it's mad, isn't it? I think we've probably all had the same. You get scouted and tapped up, even at that age.
Yeah, yeah. And he was I remember the manager used to Artex roofs. Remember Artex?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the roofs. So part of the deal was, if you come, I'll Artex your mum and dad's living room. So I got that sorted.
Sounds like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a deal to be had there. There was a bit of tapping up going on.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So what was your first introduction to joining Leicester City as a kid? And how old were you?
So I did that season at Beaumont Town, and then a scout, I forgot his name, but he was from Forest, and he asked, we want to take you to Forest. So my old man was like, this would be brilliant for you. And I was like, I don't want to go Forest. I want to go Leicester. But he said, Leicester ain't asking for you, mate. So let's go Forest. It'll be good for you. So I remember they drove me over. I fucking cried all the way. Cried in the back of the car all the way over. I don't want to go. Because I was nervous as well.
Yeah.
I was quite a nervous kid. And I did that first training session. And I got through it. I didn't enjoy it too much. But then I went back the second time and then the third time. And then you realise, it gets easier and you're not as nervous. And then after the third session, before I was about to go to the fourth session at Forest, I got a letter through from David Nish. Well, it was signed by David Nish, and it said they want to invite me to the Leicester Academy. So I was buzzing. That was it. That's how.
What age?
How I started.
Like 8, 9.
8 years old.
Days, even back then.
Straight in, down Leicester, and one of the first people you meet, legend. I know you two know him, but Nev Hamilton.
Yeah.
He was just.
Great bloke.
He knew my dad as well, so it made it easy for me. And I'd seen him around Leicester before, so it was sort of, he's the first face you see, and then another guy you guys will know is Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
Massive. He'd cut the grass, then he'd do an elite training session.
Still around.
Yeah, Tux is still here.
Here at the club, yeah.
Legend, mate. A little bit later on, John Rudkin. He became a manager at under 10, under 11. He knew how to work with all of us. He was laid back. He'd never give you a bollocking, really. He'd never really hear John shout. You felt comfortable around.
Yeah.
So we all played our best football under him. And what was strange about the situation was we played the first season with John, and then normally, I think it still happens at academies now, John would remain the under 11 manager. You move up to a new manager in the under 12s.
Yeah.
But John requested to Dave that he stayed with us because we were a really good team. And he got on so well with all of us. Right. So John literally moved the age group with us. So he was my coach from sort of under 11 all the way through to sort of the 17.
Would you say that coming to Leicester for the first time was instantly a better fit than going to Forest?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. Not just because you supported Leicester, but it's round the corner from your house. It was just wicked. Really was. With Nev, John, Dave sort of looking over it. And to that point, I had never sort of represented England or got into any trials or anything like that. But the first time that I thought, hold on, 13 or 14, and we're watching Sky Sports Match of the Day, Richard Keys and Andy Gray. Yeah. And it was a Leicester game. I can't remember who they were playing, but they had Brian Little, the former manager. They're talking to him and he's saying, there's some really young, exciting talents coming up. They've got a boy that's nearly getting in the first team called Emil Heske. He's one to really look out for. And then there's a couple of younger ones as well. One's called Matt Piper. I'm fucking sitting there at 13 and he drops that. You should have seen my old man, his face. Little, he's fucking jumping up and down. He just fucking said your name. And I was like, oh my God, what's he saying my name for? And then you slowly start to realize, they think like, even at 13, 14, like, I'm like going to be one of the ones that's got a big chance of making it. And then literally, I don't know if it's because he dropped the name on TV, but then I got in the next sort of England squad trial. And that's when I realized, oh shit. Like, you think you're wicked when he's dropped your name on TV, and then you see people like Joe Cole was there, Jermaine Defoe, Peter Crouch, all like my age.
Had you heard of their names?
No, never.
Because some players, maybe not on a national level, but you hear within your borough, don't you, or your county, And then next minute it's like the region. You hear about, oh, he's meant to be good, he's meant to be good. But you hadn't heard of those players then.
None of
Never
them.
played against any of them growing up in that
None
age
of them.
group?
None of them. And I turn up to England sort of giving it stacks, really, because, you know, getting your name mentioned. I think I was probably 14 by this time, 14, 15, first time I went with England. And then you know what you're capable for as a player. And then you're seeing Jermaine Defoe twist, turn, like near the corner flag and shoot. Can't do that. And then Joe Cole gets through one-on-one and he does like a rainbow flick over the keeper and volleys it in the net.
He was unbelievable when he was younger.
Mate, crazy talent.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing Peter Crouch. He was already fucking 6'10" by then.
Yeah.
No, pulling it out of the sky on his chest and volleying it in the. And you're like, mate, I ain't at this level. So that was good for me though.
Yeah.
Because at that age,
Yeah.
instead of going within yourself thinking you ain't good enough, I thought, well, I got to work harder.
Yeah.
I got to work harder. Tunnel vision. Want to make it. Want to play for Leicester. Want to get in the first team.
Your first impressions of the dressing room when you get called up to the first team squad?
Scared shitless. mainly of you.
Of me?
No.
Right.
So first of all, I got to tell the story how I got in the first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
It was
it was a weird one. I don't know if you remember, Matty, but Martin O'Neill used to come down. I was 16, 17, but I was playing 2 years up for the under-19s.
Yeah.
It was when they had split the sort of academy where you had an under-17s team and under-19s team.
Yeah.
And I had just signed professional contract for the under-17s, just left school. But I was playing in the under-19s and getting on the bench for the occasional reserve
games, yeah.
at sort of 16, 17. And then all of a sudden, David Nish had come in to an under-19s game on a Saturday morning, and you guys have got a first team game at Filbert Street in the afternoon, and he'd say, the gaffer's here today. So we'd be like, who's the gaffer? He used to be like, no, Martin O'Neill. We used to think.
So he's come down early to watch your game.
To watch our game.
Before he goes
to
down
Filbert Street to watch you guys. But Dave would tell me, I don't know why, but he'd tell me, he's come to watch you. I'm thinking, I used to be so nervous of him coming, but obviously when you kick off, you just get on with the game. So obviously at that point, Dave and Nev Hamilton are sitting me and Tux sit me down saying, listen, he's going to put you in the first team soon. You're going to travel with the first team. And then the first time I travelled was Newcastle away. I think we won 1-0 when Robbie Savage scored
2-0.
that sort of hook over his shoulder.
Good goal as well, wasn't it?
Wicked goal.
2-0.
Yeah, 2-0. It was in that. Martin O'Neill said, listen, I want you to travel with us. You ain't going to be on the bench, but I want you to be involved so you start getting a feeling for what it's like travelling. So we all went up there. I was nervous, I remember, but I sat with Oakser, Stefan. And he's the biggest practical fucking joker because he knows how nervous I am. We're warming up on the pitch because the gaffer said, get changed, get stripped, warm up on the pitch with the team. So you get to...
Great atmosphere to go into.
You get to feel the atmosphere and all that. And Oaksy was doing that thing, you know, he's got a wand of a left foot, you know, where he spins it to you and it just bounces in front of your legs. So
like a cricket
like
delivery.
A cricket delivery.
Yeah.
So he's spinning up and I'm there trying to take it and fucking balls are flying up, going flying into the stand and the Newcastle crowd are going, you're fucking shit. And I'm only 17 and I'm thinking, I don't even belong here. It was, oh my God. So it was a nightmare, but Rob Sabb scored that goal. We won 2-0. I think that was the second goal. We won, and then on the bus with you lot after we'd won, it was like eye-opening to me because I'm like a kid from 14, 15, not drinking, not doing it, like tunnel vision to be a pro.
Yeah.
We get on that bus, mate, fucking beers everywhere. Everyone was getting steaming and drinking and dancing. It was wicked. And then I remember Robbie Savage. I don't know if he was sitting with you, Tags. I remember Robbie Savage. He pretended that his phone rang. He went, hello? Because he'd scored that goal, and he was like, "Oh, Mr. Ferguson." He goes, "Yeah, we'll have to have a chat about me coming to Man United." That kind of shit banter.
Yeah.
And so he dropped that in, and I just loved that. What Martin O'Neill did for me that day made me think, "Fucking hell, I can do this."
Yeah.
It made me think, even though Oaks is spinning them balls, I thought I could do this, and I want more of this. I want to be like one of the main first teamers that. So, but then I got my first injury.
Right.
sort of within 3-4 weeks of that trip, I got my first injury on my knee, and then Martin and Neil had left by the time I got back fit, and Peter Taylor had come in. Peter Taylor got sacked, and Gary Parker, Park, and I thought he's just saying that because that's unheard of. Because I hadn't been involved really, other than travelling to the game with Martin O'Neill. I looked down the list. Parks gets that job for one game, and I'm on the list. So I'm like, fuck it. So it was nerves, excitement. It was all sorts. I went home, told my old man, my mum, my brother, everyone's buzzing. Told my mates, they all got tickets to come. I got them all tickets to come to the game, and I was thinking, he did say that he'd start me, but I bet he won't. I bet he'll shit it, and because he won't want to put like a young fresh lad in. Especially against that Leeds side was unbelievable. Kjell, Viduka, it was all that lot. The next day I wake up to come to the game. It was a night game, and I'm sort of nervous all day, but I'm looking at my boots thinking, I can't make a debut in them. They were sort of old and tatty, but they were like my main boots. So on the way to the ground, I left an hour early. On the way to the ground, I stopped in town at I think it was called JC Sports, and I bought a brand new, bright gold pair of Nike shining boots.
Gold?
Gold.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I know.
Oh dear.
That's where he's giving it stacks.
Yeah.
It comes to mind again.
Trying to give it stacks, and then I took them to the ground, and Parks was like, "Are they brand new?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You're going to make your fucking debut in them?" I was like, "What? I'm starting." He was like, "Mate, you're starting." And then he pulled the board back with the team on, and I was starting right wing. So then I was shitting it. I was thinking, "Oh my God,
wow."
So nervous. But this sounds weird, but it was easier because we started getting peppered straight away.
We did.
I think it was 3-0 like early.
We got tonked.
And the sort of game was already over. And so I just thought, and the blessing for me on my debut was I was against Ian Hart. Wicked fullback.
Not the quickest.
Mate, tugging a caravan. He literally, he couldn't run. So every time I got the ball, it was like Forrest Gump. I say it's like Forrest Gump. I just used to bang it down the line and just sprint past him. And I must have swung 15 crosses in that game. And Sav should have scored on one of them. Fucking fluffed his lines. But that would have been my first assist. And then I remember the crowd started singing Pipinio. Like, that's what they started singing.
Pipinio, I love it.
Yeah, they started singing Pipinio because I did this thing as well. I keep it on my phone to show some of the kids that I work with sometimes to like impress them. But Rio was marking me in the corner, and he was sort of down low, not letting me turn. And then I pretended to pass it that way, and Cruyff and went past him and then crossed it, and it was right on Sav volley, 7 yards out, and he fucking kicked it over the stadium.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But that would have been wicked for me on my debut. But anyway, I got Leicester's, I know we lost 6-0, but I got Leicester's man of the match. And I just thought, I've arrived.
The one bright spark of that game, probably.
Matthew Pipinio. Matthew Pipinio. I love it.
I don't remember that. Are you sure you're not inventing that?
No. That's legit, mate. That's legit. I'd never forget that.
To that.
Brilliant.
So Pipinio. And then the first time you come out after the game and you're getting asked for signatures, pictures, was like, want some more of this.
Had you stocked up on your signature? Had you upgraded
Everyone
it?
does, don't they?
Yeah.
You practice it since you're like 12 years old.
Yeah, you do, to be fair.
On
Don't
your
you?
school books and everything. So that was well.
So you had it nailed down.
That was nailed down, mate. Spot on.
Yeah.
And I ain't changed it to this day from that first one that I did. And little did I know, but at that game, Dave Bassett and Mickey Adams were at the game.
Yeah.
Because the day after, they got announced as the new management combo.
Yeah.
So obviously, Dave was manager, Dave Bassett. He sat me down 3 or 4 days after that game, after a training session. So now I'm training with you guys. And he sat me down after a training session and he said, listen, you were the best player the other night. We got tonked, but you were the best player. But you need more to get in a first team, especially in a relegation scrap season. So I've got a mate. You remember how Dave Bassett talks? He was like, I've got a mate called Billy Dearden. he's a great lad. He's down at Mansfield. I'm going to send you straight there on loan. So I'm like, I just fucking got man of the match against Leeds, like played well, and now you're bidding me off to Mansfield. And he was like, and then the next game was Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So he was like, yeah, you ain't travelling, go Mansfield. For me, it was a stroke of genius from Dave Bassett, because that 3 months I had at Mansfield on loan and getting elbowed in the first game and losing a tooth and you little fucking Premier League prick. And that's how they talk to you, the players. It toughens you up. And that was a wicked team at Mansfield as well. And that season we went on to win the league.
Yeah, the whole system was different back then, wasn't it? In terms of loans and etc. You didn't sign for the season necessarily, did you? And
no.
there wasn't a transfer window as stringently applied anyway. So you go to Mansfield, do well, come back, we're still struggling that season.
Yeah, well, I got recalled.
Yeah.
I got recalled, so they sent me for 6 months initially. Dave Bassett said, go for 6 months and we'll see how you get on, but we'll put a recall in the loan contract that we can call you back at any time.
Well, that was wise.
And it was triggered by Billy Dearden, actually, because he got me in his office. He's an old, do you know Billy Dearden?
I know who you mean. Like,
old boy, like, used to smoke and all sorts of training, and we trained at like secondary school. So the goals weren't the correct size, and you had to flick like dog shit off the pitch before we trained, and all this kind of. I was thinking you had to wash your own kit,
right?
Which you never had at Leicester. The canteen was the local corner shop. It was like,
wow.
Yeah, it was a wake up.
Yeah.
It was a wake up call to be like, I want to be back at Leicester. So the only way I could get there is by playing well. And so Billy, he had a fag on in his office, and he was like, right, I've been thinking. He goes, I'm gonna make an offer for you. I spoke to the chairman. He reckons we can afford about 250 grand, and we think Leicester might accept it. And I said, well, if Leicester are going to accept it, send it. So he faxed it. He faxed it.
That's a few quid for Mansfield, by the way.
Yeah, 250 grand. They sent the fax to Leicester, and Dave Bassett rang him the next day, and he said, it's funny you sent this, because we were about to recall him. We ain't selling him. So Billy was like, fucking hell, I shouldn't have sent the fax. We weren't going like that. And he was like, they've recalled you. So I had to say all my goodbyes at Mansfield. It was just near Christmas, and we had Liverpool away at Anfield. In the league, and he started me.
Started that game, yes.
Started me against, so that was like my Premier League debut. He started me against Liverpool. I think I came on in an FA Cup game first, but then the next league game was Liverpool, and he started me. And then I stayed in the first team.
How did that go, that game?
Yeah, we lost 1-0.
Yeah.
Heskey scored.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now.
Emil scored.
Yeah.
And yeah, I played well. Did all right. Created a few chances. Had a few shots. Got a Emil shirt after the game.
Did you?
Yeah, because I used to be Emil's boot boy.
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't I? Yeah.
Great lad.
Did you know Emil from around Leicester?
Yeah, but I think
More through the academy.
Yeah, he's 4 years older than me, but he was always the legend. So I used to be ball boy at Filbert Street. I did it nearly every week. And obviously the youth team come into the ball boys room before the first team kicks off, and every week you used to be like, oh, what was the score? Oh, we won 6-0 against Norwich. Who scored? Emil scored all 6. Like every week, we won 4-2 against Man United. Who scored? Emil scored all 6. Every week, so you knew he was going to be, top. And then I cleaned his boots, and Peggy Offick said. And every morning, like I turned up late to this interview, didn't I? I turn up late when I do the radio. I turn up late everywhere. And I used to be late with their boots.
Oh.
And Peggy used to go
nuts.
Crazy, mate. Crazy, going out in dirty boots. But Emil was always chilled about it.
It's a good lad, Emil, isn't it?
Yeah, he's top.
So is Peggy, by the way. Peggy's a great lad.
Yeah.
Wicked lad. But yeah, so that's how I got in the first team at Leicester.
You got there eventually.
Yeah.
Bit of a slog for you, wasn't it? Now, but I mean, see, people don't always realise that. I think from the outside, people know that there's challenges, and obviously you're up against it. There's thousands upon thousands of other kids trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve as well. But the setbacks that people come across, and you in particular, it's a difficult journey sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, massively. This is going to sound corny, but I mean it. I say to people, the upbringing that you had at Leicester with the characters that were there, you, Sav, Gary Parker, Emil, Brian Dean came later, Muzz, Walsher, Ian Walker, Frank Sinclair, Imps. Like there was such, it was such a
mix
of.
There's a proper eclectic mix. Is that the
That's the
term?
word. Wicked. I wouldn't have wanted to like sort of break through into a first team. Sort of anywhere.
It's funny how we could recognise, we knew you were a decent player. You know, we could just see it from 1.5 training sessions. Like you just need to fly past a couple of people and we're like, all right, he'll do. It's one of them, and then you're accepted. Like we're wanting you to.
We wanted good characters, good young players coming in. You know what I mean? So, but obviously, there's a few rules and regulations you've got to adhere to, i.e. keep the ball, son.
That was the one. That was the saying. Hey. And you used to look and you keep the fucking ball, son. But you two especially, you might not remember this. Who else was it? There was 3 of you that I used to think, Jesus. Like in training, because you know I was quick and quite skillful, you wouldn't wipe me out, but you'd give me a warning that if you try that shit on me in training and make me look bad, so you better fuck off over there. And I used to do that a lot. I used to stand on you and then you. Who else was at the back then?
I'll tell you who else used to terrorise me and you, say, similar era. Chris O'Grady.
Chris O'Grady.
Good player, Chris O'Grady. Strong as well.
Athlete, wasn't he? And it, like, we come in on a Thursday morning, we might have been out Tuesday night or something, maybe Wednesday night as well, and didn't want to face him either. You two, both flying at us, like, drop down the gear.
Just wanting to get through training, aren't you?
Yeah.
You get home and get to bed.
We're so Grady, that's it,
You got these 2 young bucks flying at you.
Oh, dear. So you're getting more established there through that season. Season doesn't go as planned. And you could see it from the outside. It was a hard slog for us generally, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I started every game, and then I started playing on the left. Brian Dean was up front, and it made it easy for me because if I could just get that half an inch on my fullback, you know, by dropping a shoulder or doing a little trick, I'd just spin it. And that's what Dino told me to do, just spin it and I'll get to it. And he always did, and he scored, him and James Scowcroft. Scored, like, I think I had quite a lot of assists at that back end of that season. And we nearly got some good results. We nearly beat Chelsea at home. Zola scored a free kick to beat us 3-2 in the end, but it was a really good game. Middlesbrough was close. There was loads of close games. So we were playing better than at the start of the season, but we'd almost accepted
inevitable sort of thing,
we were gonna go down. But no, I started experiencing nights out with some of you boys, I think. More Frankie and the London crew. We went to this club called Sugar Reef. He's got me, Jordan Stewart, Matt Heath, John Stevo, and I got in the queue, and Frankie was like, "What are you getting in the queue for?" And I was like, "Oh." So anyway, we go to the front of the queue, and near the front of the queue, you know how London, when you go on a night out, there's like probably 6 different guest lists. So there's like different queues, and then there's the normal queue that I went to get in, and Frankie called me out of it. And I look in this queue, and we're just like getting in because Frankie's got everyone in. Yeah, there's about 12 of us, mate, and he just gets us all in. I look in this queue, and it was Frank Lampard, who was obviously at West Ham at the time. Frank Lampard and Michael Carrick standing in this queue to get in, but we're just walking in. So I'm like, and then Frankie's
Give him away.
Frankie's seen him. He's gone, "What are you two doing in the queue?" He goes, "Yeah, 14. Get them 2 in as well." So he gets them 2 in. So that's how, like, Lampard was big back then. Even when he was at West Ham, it was just before he went Chelsea. So he gets them in as well. So that's sort of how big his pool was around London. Anyway, so we go in the club, and then I'm sort of drinking for the first time, really. And I'm getting a bit tipsy and steaming, and then I've gone downstairs, and people think I lie about this bit, but it's true. And it's the reason why I look to my right. I'm standing at the urinal, I'm having a wee, and someone starts pissing on my shoe. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I look, and it's Stevie Wonder. I swear to God. I'm like, oh my word.
Nowhere.
I was like, I swear. Tags, he pissed on my
Nowhere.
shoe. And I know people think I say that
It's
because
classic,
I'm
isn't it?
making a blind joke. But I'm not making a blind joke. He
No.
was pissing on my shoe. So I look and I go, oh my God, it's Stevie Wonder. Like that.
Oh my
You're like, go on then, Stevie. You're not. Here's the other one.
And his bodyguard is standing behind him, and he just goes like that on my shoulder. He goes, yeah, it's him. He goes, if you want a picture, let's do it after. Or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it, going like this. So I can't wait to get back upstairs and tell these lot. Obviously,
Oh, I'm in tears. Laugh.
when I get up there and I tell Frankie, he thinks I'm just
Yeah.
taking the mick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm steaming and I'm just chatting shit. And I'm like, I swear to God it was Stevie Wonder. Right? So then I go, see, here he is. And he comes up and people are all crowding around it. And Frankie was like, oh my God. Like, he was even more in shock than me.
Yeah.
So he runs over and we're all standing around, like, trying to get pictures, and the bodyguards are trying to keep us back. And Frankie was going, please, let me just talk to Mr. Wonder. Please, let me talk to him like this. So anyway, he gets to him and he went, I've wanted to say this all my life. He goes, my mum and dad told me I was made to you. And I was like, what? And he was like, you were supposed to be playing in the bedroom when I got conceived. So we're all laughing. Stevie Wonder's laughing. Mate, it was the best night I've ever had. So then, yeah, but that was sort of the middle of it. And then obviously coming to the end, I've played all these games in the Premier League on 375 quid
Wow.
a week. On my,
Are you still on that then?
I'm still on that contract. So I get Dean Sturridge was there at the time as well.
Yeah.
So Dean Sturridge was like, listen, you're like playing really well. You need to go in and ask for a new contract. He said, have you got an agent? And I said, no. And he said, use my brother. He said, my brother's an agent, which turns out is Daniel Sturridge's dad, Simon Sturridge.
Mm-hmm.
Simon used to play as well.
Yeah, Simon used to play lower league.
Birmingham and that.
Yeah. So I met him and I really liked him. He met my old man. He said, I think we should go in before the end of the season. He said, let's not leave it to the end of the season. We'll go in and we'll talk to Dave Bassett. So we go in and Dave Bassett straight away is not having Simon Sturridge.
Right.
Maybe that's just the act he always put on to like
Yeah.
keep the negotiating low, and he's not having him. And he's like,
This is making sense now.
yeah, he starts battering me. I'm sitting in there with Simon, and we walk in, and he's gone, listen, first of all, I can't believe you come in before the end of the season, but let's get it over with. What do you want? And I was like, well, I'm on 375 quid a week, Gaffer. I think I'm doing well. You're doing all right. You ain't scored a fucking goal yet. And I was like, he's been boosting me up all this time, and then just starts battering
Yeah,
me.
he's got his business head on now.
Yeah, you ain't scored a fucking goal yet. And what you doing in here? What? And I'm like, oh, this is my agent. And then he was like, listen, Simon was like, listen, let's not start off on a bad thing. I'll just give you the figure.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. He wants $5,000 a week. $5,000 a week? Get out. And then I thought he was joking. And he went, no, I'm being serious. Get out. He goes, Paul Dickoff, he's a Scottish international, scoring goals for the first team. He ain't even on that. Said, you two, fucking get out. So I'm like, now I'm thinking, oh my God, I've ruined it all. I'm in the car park. Simon's going, this is what happens. I'm like, no, this can't happen. Like, this is a disaster. He told us to fucking get out of his office. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, I need to call my dad. I'm nearly crying.
Yeah.
So I've rang my old man, and my old man said, he said what? He said, I'm on my way down there now, mate. So he pulls up, you know what my old man said? He pulls up in the car park, and Simon's like, whatever you do, don't you go in, because he'll eat you alive. And he's gone, well, he's fucking let you alive, innit? He's gone, no, I'm going in. He goes, Matt, come on, you're coming with me. So we go, and you know Rach behind the, who was like, let people into the manager or not. She's like, oh, you've got to have an appointment. My old man said, let me just go and knock on his door. So he's pushed past her. He's knocked on the door. Come in. He's gone in, and he's gone, oh, Mr. Piper. He's gone, don't Mr. Piper me after what you've just said to him. He goes, you see this boy here? He was dead serious. There was no handshakes or nothing. He goes, he's been at this club since he was 8 years old. And he's not asked for as much as a chocolate biscuit and a cup of tea. And I was like, I'm standing in the background like, oh my God. But Dave Bassett kind of liked it, I think, how my old man was talking. So he goes, listen, let's sit down. He goes, I had to get that idiot out of here because he was asking for way too much, but let's come to an agreement. So we sort of thrashed out a deal really quick, 5 minutes.
Wow.
And then they said, well, Dave Bassett was like, I get the office to sort it. And I think they put me on 2,800 a week. So it was like massive for me.
Yeah, as a 19.
2,800 quid a week they put me on. And then 3 days later I signed it. But when I was signing it, Dave Bassett said, I only had a go at you because the agent was with you. He said, I think you're doing fantastic, but there's 2 games left of the season. It'd be good if you scored a goal. And so I signed that new deal. I think we had an away game. Then we had the Tottenham game at home. And then my old man was like, he said, score a goal before the end of the season. You know, I weren't planning on scoring the last goal at Filbert Street, but I really wanted to score because I hadn't scored.
Do you remember the goal? Do you remember the build-up?
No, it's a bit of a blur. I remember playing well.
Yeah.
Callum Davidson took the throw in. Matty flicked it on, and Ben Thatcher was the left back that day. And all I remember is I seen the ball come off your head, and I jumped towards it, and I seen him sort of angling his body like he's going to volley it up the pitch.
Yeah.
But I was already committed to the jump.
It was a brave error.
Yeah, so it was a little bit like that because I could see his leg moving, and it sort of. People say it came off the shoulder.
Snatch doesn't hold back either, does he?
No. He so he swiped for it. He connected, but he sort of hit me in the shoulder, and it came off sort of the corner of my head. And then Steve-O, Steve-O could have been the last
in the
man
picture,
to score at
Steve-O, isn't he?
Filbert Street, because it was going for the sort of top of his head, and it probably would have flicked off his head and either gone in the roof of the net or gone over. But he ducks like that, so it goes behind him. So thank you, Steve-O.
Right, yeah.
And it flew in. I just remember that feeling of scoring. I'd scored for Mansfield, but scoring in the Premier League in front of the cop.
It was a good finish. I have to say.
In front of the
brave
cop
finish.
Was like, I didn't know what to do. It was just a wicked feeling, and you just run in, and it feels euphoric.
Yeah.
And then you see all the people cheering and going nuts, and then I jumped in the cop. And
Did you realise? I know the club had been relegated, but did you realise the significance of that goal when the game was finished, or
not
in the
at all.
dressing room?
No, and I was just buzzing that I scored the goal. I remember after that game, we had to auction our shirts off. We had to give all our match-worn shirts to auction it off as the last game at Filbert Street. But I was like, just scored my first Premier League goal, the last one at Filbert Street. I ain't fucking giving back on my shirt.
Yeah.
So you couldn't find
so
it.
I quickly put it in my bag, and then I asked, remember Bob, the second kit man?
Yeah, get me a spare one.
Get me the spare one, and then I signed that one. But yeah, it didn't really sink in for a while. Like I'm talking I don't know, 2-3 weeks, and then you get, because I still get them now, you get people requesting you to sign stuff from Filbert Street, and you know, and you know the significance of it. It sort of sinks in, and you're like, fucking hell.
Yeah. So, it was Leicester City's home for a long, long time.
I think it was sort of, the fact that we got relegated sort of clouded it a bit, maybe initially.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you can be seen to be celebrating too much about things. After all, the season was a disappointment, to say the least. But then that cloud sort of lifts itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then you
get more recognition for it.
Yeah, and you feel the significance of it, and the pride really in scoring that goal. And I always remember, even though I didn't feel in real time that I wanted to win the game, So I didn't feel in real time that it was massively significant that it was going to be the last goal at Filbert Street. You're in the moment of the game and you want to win it. And I remember being at the other end and I was just thinking, please don't score. And he bent one far top corner. And from where I was, it looked like it was going in. And I was like, no! At the other end of the thing. And it hit the stanchion and went over into the family stand. And I was like, oh thank you so much.
Yeah, that was the culmination of a long, hard season. Ended in a relative high for you. And then what unfolded then? Because after that stage, it was the back end of that, after that game, wasn't it? That things transpired that you ended up having to go to Sunderland or went to Sunderland?
Yeah, so it was a couple of weeks later, but obviously we'd been relegated, so we were all gutted, but we won the last game. Me, personally, I've scored my first Premier League goal. You got a new contract, you got the most money you've ever had, because we grew up with not much. And it's the first time I'd took all the family away and been able to pay for it myself. I took loads of it and it was wicked. And I was just getting my head, have a nice break now and then come back. And the club were ringing me saying, your shirt sold the most shirts. And, for when you're away abroad and the club's ringing you saying that, so when you get back, you got to come and have a picture with your 29. And I was like, oh my God, buzzing. So I was thinking, I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit this championship with everything I've got. I totally didn't even think about moving away from Leicester. Just hit it with everything and have a wicked season. And hopefully, that's why I looked at Dewsbury Hall when we got relegated. You could see he was saying all the same things that I was sort of saying. I want to stay here and I want to come back up with the club. I did the whole pre-season. Mickey Adams had took over.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I was Mickey's starting right winger. And it was the first game of the season, and I had the shits the night before. I think you had as well. I don't know if it was shit. You were ill for the first game of the season, but you played.
Yeah, no, I started. I came off after about 20 minutes.
And I had the same bug. So I've turned up and I've gone, Gaffer, I'm really ill. And I could hear him with Matty. He was going, because Matty spoke to him first. He was like, mate, just start the game for me. Start the game, really wanting you to start. So me being his starting right winger, he didn't do that to me. They go, don't worry. That was all right, because I did have a terrible.
He was quite happy flogging me then.
So I got in Monday morning, and he said, "Come and see me in the office." So I went to see him, and Dave Bassett was in there, standing behind him, and he goes, "The club sold you to Sunderland for 3.5 million," and I was like, "What?" I said, "I swear to God, Gaffer, I don't want to leave." Like I panicked. I was like, "I don't want to leave." And he was like, mate, the current situation of the football club are in, there's no choice. Like, you've got to go. And I was just standing there, devoed. I was just, honestly, I was devoed. And then he was like, have you got an agent? And I was like, no. And he was like, get your old man. Peter Reid's expecting you this afternoon. Go and see him. And anyway, I get in the car with my old man. We're driving up and he's buzzing. He's like, this is brilliant for your career. I know you want to stay at Leicester, but you'll be back playing in the Premier League and blah, 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 blah. And to cut a long story short, because this is a long story, but they offered me a 5-year contract, triple, quadruple what I was on at Leicester, starting wage, for 5-year contract. And I said, listen, I'm buzzing that you, and I said, really, I really like you, and I'm buzzing that they've been watching me for the end of the previous Premier League season. But I don't want to leave Leicester. I said, I'm a local lad, just got in the first team. And he said, from what I understand, you're going to have to leave. So, top man, thanks for everything, but I don't want the contract. I'm staying at Leicester. Anyway.
That seems mad to some people, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're saying quadruple the wages.
No, I get it. But I just looking at your face when he said that, and you're like, what? Really?
Well, I told him so in a bit. You might get a mention.
Yeah, because I went back and Mickey, me and him, we've not fell out because I'm still sound with Mickey because I love him. Great gaffer. He was for me anyway. I don't know about for you two, but for me, he was a great gaffer. And
I get on better with him now than
Yeah.
I did then.
Yeah, of course.
Similar,
And
similar situation.
he was like, he lost his fucking head. Probably because he's got the pressure from upstairs.
Yeah,
running there.
massive, massive,
But
massive.
he was like, story never happened out. I seen him like a couple of months ago, and he was like, story never happened out. I said,
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
I was like, you were like, you got to go. And then Dave Bassett's in the background, twitching around, lost his head. I think it was Dave that said, listen, this is how much we need to sell you. Gordon Strachan at Southampton has put a bid in of 2.5 million. So if you're turning 3.5 down, we'll take the 2.5. Go and see him this afternoon. This is the day after driving up Sunderland. So I'm like, oh my God, it's the other end of the country.
Yeah.
So then they were like, it's £1 million less, but we need the money. So then I started realising, and my old man was like, you ain't going to stay here, mate. You ain't going to be able to. So anyway, we get in the car, we go and see Gordon Strachan and Rupert Lowe at Southampton. He said, we probably can't match what Sunderland are offering, but we're going to play you and you're going to develop well here. And I was just like, really pleased to meet you. Same thing. I want to stay at Leicester. So when I went back the second time, everyone's going nuts. Like they said, you ain't training.
Yeah.
You ain't training because if you get injured, we can't sell you.
I think the way these things work, obviously, is like people make a bid for you, and then the manager gets you in and says, "Listen, we've had a bid from such and such. What are you thinking?" But for you not even to be told that, you're just being told,
You got to go.
"You're going, mate.
Yeah.
You're out the door. Sorry."
Yeah.
But obviously, the club was in such a bad state at the time.
No, 100%. And then, so what I started to do, I started to ask some of the older pros, you know, the ones that are more, and had moves previously, I said to Matty. And
You were looking down. I saw you walking along, and you was looking like really sad on the edge of not a breakdown, but like tears and whatever. And I was like, "What's up, Pipes? What's the matter?" And you explained to me the scenario. I was like, "Oh, right, okay." And I was just sort of rationalising what I would think and put myself in your position. But I was like, "Yeah, I get it." But the grand scheme of things, looks like you're going to have to go. And I was like, "Hey, but there's actually what it happened a little bit quick for you."
Yeah.
But that's what you're sort of aspiring to do in your profession, in your career, is move on. At some stage. It just happened a bit early, didn't it?
yeah,
You're still living at home, weren't you?
Yeah, still at home.
And stuff
everything.
like that. You was like, yeah, but I'm still living at home with mum and dad. No, I don't want to leave home. And I was like, sort of like half giggling, but I was like, yeah, I get it, Paz, I get it. But mate, Premier League, 3.5 million, X amount, wages. Mate, this is what it's all about. Like, there's worse problems to have, mate.
Yeah. So, like Matty said that. Brian Dean said similar, but someone said to me, it was one of the staff. Someone said to me, "You say you love the club and you've been here since you were a kid. People like that are gonna suffer because they're gonna lose jobs, mate. If the club can't stay out of this administration." I thought it was Mickey that said it, and I said that on a different podcast, and that's what he got upset with. So maybe I will say on this one that it weren't him, but it was someone. And then I thought, so I went in Mickey's office like 2 or 3 days of trying to hold out, and I went, just ring Reader and tell him I'll come.
Right.
And then that's the weird thing about a football club. You've been there since you're 8, you're now 20, I think it was, so 12 years of your life every day. And the club's like, yeah, sold, done. Get your boots, get your shin pads, any of your shirts you want, and you get a black bag off Macca. Gives you a black bag, and he's like, fill it up, mate. You can take what you want. All the best kidder. You go around high-fiving everyone. You fucking walk out like Santa.
Yeah.
With the black bag over your back. You chuck it in the car, and you got to report for training at Sunderland tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I love Peter Reid. I had someone similar to Brian Dean in Niall Quinn. So you could literally beat your fullback and just
Put it in there.
Put it in anyhow, and he'd make something of it. Kevin Phillips, banging goals in. McAteer, Phil Babb, Joachim Bjorklund, like wicked team.
Decent team, that wasn't it?
It was a really good team. So, yeah, that's sort of where it got to. And then 13 games in, life's great. You know, you're earning that better money. You're looking for houses with your missus. You're flying in the Premier League. I got injured.
Yeah.
You work hard to get back. It takes you 6-7 months. You get back 2 weeks, back in the first team, on the bench, come on a sub, boom, it's gone again. Oh my. So, and it was literally like that for, well, basically.
Well, the rest of your career,
yeah, basically
wasn't it?
the old 5 years I was at Sunderland.
Now, well, not so long ago, you still playing charity games or local corporate games, whatever, and still looking well, you're still in decent nick now, but you're able to get around the pitch certainly better than us two mongrels. But, but I mean, you know, you could do that. You look pretty stable. How are you able to do that?
Yeah, so I went to, he's renowned as one of the best in the world. I don't know if any of you two ever went to him. His name's Stedman. So
Heard of him?
Yeah, I've heard.
I haven't been.
Stedman did this procedure that he sort of invented called microfracture,
Yes.
where he sort of drills.
You've
the
had it once or
inside.
twice, Tags, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've had it 3 times.
he drills the inside of your like knee capsule to make it bleed, and then basically your body heals from the inside out.
Yeah.
But by the time I had that operation, I'd already been quit 2 years.
Yeah.
And the PFA paid for that operation. I'd already been quit 2 years. So basically, if I had that operation before I quit, I might have still been playing. But at that point, because it felt good again after 2 years out. But by that point, I smoked 20 a day. I drink. You know, I started sort of 2 years out of football. I started taking recreational drugs and stuff like that. And I remember it was funny because I got a phone call and I've got a fag on. I don't know if I had a beer or not. I might be chucking sauce on that story, but I definitely had a fag on. And I picked up and I went, hello? And he said, hello, mate, it's Nigel Clough. And I went, yeah, good one. And put the phone down. I thought it was one of my mates messing around. And at this point, he was Burton manager.
Yeah.
So anyway, he rings back and he goes, no, mate, it's Nigel Clough. And he said, I've heard you've been playing in charity games and, you know, a couple of, you know, showcase games, and you're fucking looking good again. He goes, I know they're only charity games, but if we got you fit, do you think you could play? And I was like, I looked at the fag and I was like, no way I'm going back now. You know, at 2 years out, I just started living
the world away.
Total different life. So, sort of 6 months before he called me, Dave Rennie was sort of, you know, Dave Rennie, Leicester physio, was sort of looking after my pre-op, and then he got me sort of running again and sort of, you know, really helping me out. The club were great, and especially Dave, brilliant. He was doing it all off his own back, and I've got the feeling again of football. And I was like, oh Jesus! I used to stub the fag out just before I pulled in the car park, put the spray in your mouth, you know, eat the mints, and then Dave started having me do a bit of ball work, and you know, and then he was like, I think your knee's all right, you know. So Rob Kelly went, let him train with the first team. So I started training with the first team, and in my first session, my first session back, I scored one of them where it's crossed in, and I jumped in the air and sort of flicked it behind me. And Rob Kelly was like, decent. And Kiz Norbo and everyone was like, mate, re-sign. So Rob Kelly offered me 3 months.
Yeah.
A 3-month rolling contract. But my drinking, and this is why I said no to Nigel Clough as well, my drinking was like, started to escalate. So I was probably drunk 2 or 3 times a week, smoking 20 a day. And I got hooked on this drug called Valium. So I'd take Valium to be able to go and do stuff socially. And I made out to Dave, because Dave was so gutted. Because he thought, fucking hell, we've got him back. And we're going to get a free signing, basically, of a decent player. So Dave was gutted, but and my knee was hurting, but it's just because I didn't want to play again. I didn't want to go through it all again, and my life had changed. I didn't want to. I started going on raves with my mates and enjoying it, because I'd never done it when I was younger. I kept living as a footballer, exactly as a footballer lives. Like, going on flights, going to Dubai, drinking.
So you still had a bit of money
Yeah.
available then.
Taking all your mates here, there, everywhere, paying for this table, buying these watches, and then literally within 2 years, because I didn't get the insurance payout, you're like, oh shit, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's all gone. And then you're like, so then you're selling things like watches to give yourself another couple of months of that lifestyle. And then you're like, right, obviously, everyone who loves you is around you and close to you, and they're saying, you've got to find the next thing to do.
Yeah.
So I went out selling telephone lines. I got other mates that do groundworking. I was like, mate, picking shovels up and digging holes. I was like, my back's hurting. I can't do it.
You went to the fire service as well?
Fire service. Mate, I did loads of stuff. And I was like, I did loads, mate.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't enjoy none of it. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And people were like, you're not supposed to enjoy it. It's like,
it's real life.
It's real life. You gotta make a living. And, you know, the drinking went to every day. The drug taking went to every day. And yeah.
You spiral.
Just spiral, and then before you know it,
What was the turning point then?
The turning point was, you know, intentionally or unintentionally, like, you know, trying to take my own life was the turning point. I know this is dark for a podcast.
No, I've heard you mention that.
Yeah, it got to that point. I just had enough of it all. So I drank 2 litres of whiskey, and I took all the pills out that I had. I had Valium, sleeping tablets, painkillers. I don't know. There was shitloads.
Yeah.
It was about
A cocktail
of it all, and obviously drunk. Left the house in just my shorts and t-shirt, and I live in front of a graveyard. There's a graveyard not really close, so I walked out the back of the estate into the graveyard where my grandma and granddad are buried, that I'm really close to growing up, my mum's mum and dad, and I went and laid on his grave because I was really close to him when I was growing up. Went and laid on his grave and obviously passed out unconscious with all the pills that I took. And the next thing I know is waking up in hospital, obviously getting your stomach pumped. And then to cut a long story short, I came out of hospital, they didn't section me, and with the proviso that I go straight to Tony Adams's place. Yeah. So literally within days, I went down there. 2 months in there, met some great lads.
2 months, yeah?
Yeah, 8 weeks, met some great people. John, working with horses and animals, and they do all sorts with you. And it just expanded my mind. Read a lot while I was in there. Couldn't kick smoking, so continued smoking, but they said that's fine. Yeah. Because you still need to keep a vice. So, and came out of there and thought for the first time in a long time, I know what I want to do. It's like, you know, helping people, but coaching and mentoring and being around, you know, trying to make other people's lives more progressive and positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it felt good. And John, and this is where I owe a massive debt to the club, and John and Tuck, and they were like, we'll give you a job. So I came back, and that's when I started coaching Hamza, Dewsbury Hall, you know, the young lads, and loved it. So that's sort of how life sort of turned around.
Gives a good insight to people, really, on what can happen when you come out of the game, especially in your instance, too early through injury, and it's difficult to deal with for lots of people, isn't it? And especially in your situation, was pretty extreme. But some light at the end of the tunnel. Well, more than light, there's a great big load of sunshine, really, isn't it? The way that things have turned out for you, down to a lot of hard work, like from yourself and a lot of people around you, I'm sure, but just sort of give us a brief summary of like what you're up to these days. It
always felt like I wanted to do something similar but different, and I thought, wouldn't it be wicked to own an academy that predominantly takes in inner city kids from, you know, most of them tough backgrounds, most of them single parent families, where we can create a pathway within the environment that we build, try and shape, you know, a difficult time in their life from and point them in more positive pathways.
Yes.
That was always the plan,
Yeah.
to build something like that. And thankfully, you know, that's what I ended up doing. So I ended up starting FSD Academy in the BTEC sector. But now we work in a couple of different sectors because we got such good results with, you know, those age groups of 16 to 19. We now work with, you know, all the way down to babies now, really. Primary school kids that are struggling in the state schooling environment, the secondary kids that struggle, try and give them a different environment from school, because not all kids fit into the schooling environment. They're not necessarily naughty, they just don't fit into that, you know, environment of formal school.
That structure.
Yeah, that structure.
Yeah.
A lot of it's sport-based, but a lot of it's creativity, arts, crafts, outreach work where you go out into the communities with these kids. You know, we offer them contracts, we send them to university to get their full qualifications,
All right.
and then
Fantastic.
we employ them. So that's sort of
Yeah.
what I'm doing now.
Yeah, perfect.
That's a great point to end this
Yeah,
podcast
exactly,
on, Matt.
exactly.
A real positive outcome. So, Matt, good luck in the future with what you're doing.
Thank you, Tags, my man.
But more importantly, well done for being here to tell your story.
Thank you, big man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Top man, mate.
Good effort, mate. Good
Thanks,
effort,
mate.
Well done.
Enjoyed
Good
it.
to see ya.
Thank you.